The forest has as many eyes as leaves. Mirri of the Weatherlight. Flavor text of Llanowar Sentinel. After Gerard's time being raised by Sidar Kondo, the young man journeyed to the forest of Yavimaya, where he became a student under Multani, the Morrow sorcerer. Here, Gerard became acquainted with two other students of Multani, the elf Vorthos and the catfolk Mirri. Under Multani's tutelage, the trio learned the intricacies of magic and grew quite close, with Mirri herself coming to hold a deep affection for Gerard. Over the years, this affection turned into a powerful love, with the catfolk always waiting for a chance to confess to Capuchin. Opportunity came one day when Multani sent Mirri on a mission to establish a connection with the Chitrian tribe, catfolk that Yavimaya wished to open trade with. Gerard volunteered to join her on this journey, and the two had ample time alone. Things were going well with the Chitrian, with Mirri and Gerard being received as guests. But during the night, one of the warriors of the clan, Kalik, approached Mirri, attempting to woo her. Gerard intervened on behalf of his friend, and a fight would have broken out had Mirri not stepped in to stop them. Kalik was an arrogant warrior, proclaiming that he would not give up in his attempts to win over Mirri unless she set out on a spirit quest, facing down her spirit animal. Mirri did encounter this beast, a black, spectral saber-toothed cat, one with omens of sadness for her future. Mirri battled the spirit, resolving herself to be with Gerard, even if he did not return her affections. As she departed, the beast gave one last warning. The path they were on now could only end with Gerard's death. When the time came for Gerard to join the Weatherlight crew, Mirri and Vorthos naturally came along. For a time, the trio served well upon the ship, traveling Dominaria and collecting the legacy artifacts. Eventually, Krovax, another member of the crew, learned that his family was under attack by Phyrexians, and the Weatherlight set out to aid them. A battle broke out, and, during the fighting, Vorthos, one of Mirri's closest friends, died. Gerard and Mirri were both devastated by the loss of their friend, both leaving the crew and, shortly after, heading their separate ways, with Gerard returning to Benalia and Mirri informing Vorthos' relatives of his death. It would be years before Mirri met Gerard again, and, when they did reunite, he was asking her to come aboard the Weatherlight one more time to rescue their former captain, Sisse. After gathering the crew and plane shifting to Wrath, the Weatherlight would come under attack by the Predator, Volrath's flagship. A battle broke out between the two flying vessels, and the Weatherlight was barely able to escape. During the fighting, Karn and Tongarth had been taken by the enemy, and Gerard had fallen into the forest below. Almost as soon as they landed for repairs, Mirri insisted on going to search for Gerard, and was joined by Hana, her rival in love. The pair spent some time searching Skyshroud Forest, eventually ending up captured by the elves there and taken before Eladamri, their leader. Fortunately, Gerard was also there, being proclaimed as a great uniter by the core people. Gerard was able to get the tribes of Wrath, the core, Dal, Vek, and elves to work together against the stronghold, securing valuable allies for the Weatherlight crew, who then made their way into the Evankar's fortress. Within, Mirri would help the others by detecting traps and identifying shapeshifters. Her speed and skill were of great aid here, where she could swiftly identify and slay enemies. When Selenia, Krovax's former guardian angel, appeared and attacked, Mirri threw herself between the angel and Krovax, taking a grievous wound on his behalf. This intervention gave Krovax the resolve and the anger he needed to strike down the angel, though in doing so he was rendered unconscious by her shattering form. The pair were both taken back to the Weatherlight, where Orym, the ship's healer, did her best to help them recover. Not long after, Mirri would awaken and become suspicious of Krovax's actions. The man had awoken seemingly confused and stumbled his way out of the medical bay. Mirri followed and ended up stopping him from sabotaging the ship. The pair grappled for a moment before falling overboard and falling into the foliage below. Here, Mirri learned that Krovax had turned into a vampire, a direct result of him slaying the angel Selenia. The pair battled briefly, but Mirri's speed and skill were no match for Krovax's power. Gerard, ever the hero, attempted to save her, but Mirri thought back to the words of her spirit beast all those years ago and refused to be the cause of her love's death, sacrificing herself to buy Gerard and the others time. Ultimately, Mirri's role would be that of a sacrificial lamb, a victim to show how monstrous Krovax had become. There are very few happy endings in the Weatherlight saga, but hers is a particularly sad tale. Almost everything Mirri did, she did for the sake of her unrequited love, even dying for it. Her unlucky nature carries over even to other possible timelines. In another time, it would be Mirri, not Krovax, who would slay Selenia and become a vampire. Ultimately, fate was simply never on her side. Mirri Cat Warrior was first printed all the way back in Exodus. She's a 2/3 Cat Warrior that costs 1 generic mana and 2 green mana. Mirri's first card is fairly simple, having First Strike, Forest Walk, and Vigilance. Over the years, Mirri would get other cards, including Mirri the Cursed, showcasing her alternate timeline self, and Mirri, Weatherlight Duelist, a retrained version of her original card. Mirri was among the first members of the Weatherlight crew to receive a new card, so it's unlikely that we'll be seeing her again in the near future. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like or sharing this video with your friends. If you're a fan of the Weatherlight, its crew, or the Weatherlight saga as a whole, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell. I'll be releasing more videos on this topic. Finally, this video is brought to you by my patrons. If you enjoy my work and would like to support me, head on over to my Patreon. A link to it will be in the description below. Thanks again, and have a great day.